Hi everyone, Spider-Man 1991 here, and it's time for my comic review of the week. This time we're going to discuss comics that came out June 27th, 2012. First off, from IDW, Star Trek The Next Generation, Doctor Who crossover, Assimilation 2. Alright, well, after the way this issue starts off with the crew of the Enterprise inspecting a Federation mining colony, but the colony starts to collapse, and after that adventure's over with, the crew decides to cheer themselves up. So Commander Riker, Data, and Dr. Beverly Crusher go through a Dixon Hill program on the holodeck, and right when they start the program, the TARDIS, the Doctor's time-traveling spaceship that looks like a police box, materializes in the holodeck. So which ties into the ending of the first issue, which was the Doctor, Amy, and Rory arriving in what appeared to be San Francisco in 1914, and the Doctor noticing Data in the bar, which then cuts to the bar, and we see the Doctor, Amy, and Rory walk in, and the Doctor immediately notices Data and points out that he's an android. And right when the Doctor sees him, he starts, doing his usual thing, like, how's your central processor work, and stuff like that. And of course, Commander Riker is a little confused, thinking that the Doctor, Amy, and Rory are holograms in the simulation. So he shuts down the holodeck program, which just leaves the three Enterprise crewmen, the TARDIS trio, and the TARDIS. So after that, Riker wants to know what's going on, so he sends them to Captain Picard's ready room, and he asks Commander Worf to escort them to Captain Picard. And this is something the Doctor points out. He says that right when he saw Worf, he immediately recognized him as a Klingon. But up until that point, the Doctor had no idea what a Klingon was. So Worf takes them to Captain Picard, and they have a nice, friendly introduction. Both crews seem to be getting along well, and right when they do, though, they get a distress signal goes off for planet Delta 4, and the Doctor is even more surprised because he knows every single star and every planet in the galaxy, and he's never heard of Delta 4. So they all go to the bridge of the Enterprise, and the Doctor and Picard start to look in horror as they see Cybermen and Borg ships surrounding the entire planet. And that's pretty much what. And alright, well, when I read the first issue, it was mostly centered around the Doctor and what the TARDIS trio has been doing. This one, I'd say for the first half, it does sort of show us where the Enterprise is, but now we're really at the. But now the two crews have met, and now they're starting to and now the crossover, I'd say, officially started with this, and they've also realized the threat that they're dealing with. Both to the Doctor, it's a big deal because they're Cybermen. To Picard, the Borg. Star Trek Next Generation fans or Doctor Who fans, I'd say they'd enjoy this because it's a fun, little interesting note about how these things cross over and what this means for both universes. Because the Doctor is a little surprised that there's a planet he's never heard of and a species, i.e. the Klingons. So obviously this sort of crossover effect must be some sort of dimensional rift, I'm guessing, which allowed the Cybermen to cross over into the Star Trek universe, and the Doctor's TARDIS followed them over, which leads them to their next mission. Alright, well, now moving on to Marvel. Wolverine the X-Men, number 12. Good news to all you Rachel Grey fans. This issue is, I would say, mostly centered on Rachel Grey. Basically, Rachel and a team of X-Men consisting of Kid Gladiator, Angel, Iceman, and Namor track down the Avengers, Wolverine, and Hope. So, while the Avengers and X-Men fight over Hope, Rachel sneaks off from the fight. She locates Hope and tells her that if Hope wants the Phoenix, then she'll help then she'll help Hope, even though she shouldn't. And then after the fight, when Rachel reports back to Cyclops, she says that they didn't find Hope at all, and takes the blame for it, and lies to Cyclops, saying that they couldn't find Hope, but they'll keep trying. Cyclops is a little curious though, but their conversation is interrupted when Gladiator and Warbird and some Shi'ar soldiers show up to get ready to fight the Phoenix and kill it. I think fans of Rachel Gray are probably going to like this issue because it does mostly focus on her for the most part. Other than that, though, this is just a pretty standard crossover issue that ties into this event of Avengers vs. X-Men. We've got the Avengers on the run with... Right now, we're pretty much clarified to what the team's status is right now. Pretty much they're on the run with Hope. When Rachel does report to Cyclops, she does say that they managed to capture Quicksilver and Giant Man. So, there's that. But I'd say if you were reading Wolverine the X-Men, but you're not reading Avengers vs. X-Men, then I would say you could, if you want, you can skip this issue. If you're a fan of Rachel Gray, you might get a kick out of this. So I'd say Rachel Gray fans should definitely recommend picking this up, but anyone else who's not reading Avengers vs. X-Men, I'd say you can pass. Alright, now for something really great. The Amazing Spider-Man issue 688. Basically, once the team of geniuses from Horizon Labs returns to New York City, they all receive invites to this big party Mary Jane's throwing in honor of the world not being destroyed, and also for the Horizon geniuses for helping out Spider-Man. But she's mainly thrown in secret for her real reason is that she's kind of celebrating Peter because obviously he saved the day. But Peter's not in a party mood because he's still down in the dumps over Silver Sable's death. He does talk to Mary Jane about it, and it is a nice conversation where she does sort of remind him that promising no one dies is a little too much, and it is a lot for one person to handle. But their conversation is interrupted when Peter receives a phone call from Carly Cooper, who tells him that there's been a grave robbery, and the grave that's been robbed is Billy Connor's. So Peter changes into his spider costume, goes and meets Carly in the cemetery, and she tells him that one of the groundskeepers saw the guy who took the body of Billy Connors, looked pale, and flew away. And of course the description matches only one person Spider-Man knows, and that's Michael Morbius. So Spider-Man heads off to Horizon. He walks in the door. He's really mad. Like, he just walks in and says, "Where the hell is Michael Morbius?" And Max Modell shows up and says that, look, Spider-Man tries to calm Spider-Man down, tells him, look, Spider-Man, you need to calm down. I'm pretty sure that Morbius is here. He's not doing anything. They open the door. They see Morbius experimenting on the kid's body. Well, we don't actually get to see the body, but we just see them sort of looking at it. The reader doesn't get a clear view of the body, so don't worry, not that gory. And right when they see this, Morbius explains that he's trying to cure Dr. Kurt Connors, a.k.a. the Lizard. Now Morbius's basic plan is to go into the sewers and try to inject the cure into the Lizard, and that will revert him back to his human state of Dr. Kurt Connors. And he needed Connors' DNA in order to do that, and the only person he knew that would have it was Connors' son, Billy. And of course, Spider-Man and Max Modell agree to Morbius' plan, but Max decides that this is the moment where he draws the line, and now Morbius is no longer welcome at Horizon Labs. So they head down to the sewers. Spider-Man and Morbius fight the Lizard. They inject him with the cure. Then Max Modell and a couple of other scientists use some sort of sonic wavelength to help break down the metal they use to inject the cure into the Lizard so that the cure will work faster, and it's successful. It reverts the Lizard physically back from his reptilian state into his human form. However, while physically he looks like Dr. Kurt Connors, he's still the Lizard. The last page shows what's going on in Lizard's head, and we still get the Lizard monologue and the Lizard saying that, the humans are going to pay for what they've just done to me. And Spider-Man did say this earlier before they went down to the sewers. He said that Billy Connors is gone. There's nothing left of Kurt Connors. Kurt Connors is dead. There's only the Lizard. And I knew that, and I had a feeling that was going to happen. Like, it was not going to be that easy. So, the Lizard is still active. However, he's just pretty much the reptilian consciousness in Dr. Connors' body. So, yeah. I think mainly we're getting the Lizard story arc right now because, well, he's the main villain in the Amazing Spider-Man movie. Also, this is something that has been a little curious about what's happened to Kurt Connors. I mean, when they did bring the Lizard back for the whole Gauntlet storyline, Dr. Kurt Connors was, like, gone after Billy died. Once the Lizard killed Billy, Dr. Kurt Connors pretty much just checked out at that point. The Lizard had full control of the body. And now that the Lizard's cured, we don't know what he's going to do with the human body. I think we may be looking at something like he's either going to try to change back into the Lizard, or he's going to kill everyone. Those are the only two options I can think of. Hopefully it won't be that extreme, but I say this is a great start off to a nice little story arc that's going to have that sort of... I want to say it doesn't tie into the Amazing Spider-Man movie, but it does sort of, give us that feel for that Spider-Man versus the Lizard. And also, it seems like something small scale from what we've been used to, what with Ends of the Earth and Spider Island and all that. So, this is going to be nice. And it's off to a great start so far with pretty much what we thought was the Lizard would be cured. Unfortunately, he's not. He's pretty much just changed form, that's all. So, now the question is, how is Spider-Man going to stop the Lizard? Okay, moving right along to DC Comics. Teen Titans number 10. Superboy and Wonder Girl are able to meet up with the rest of the team. Shortly after their little reunion, Red Robin says he wants to disband the Teen Titans because they're done, because he feels like they've accomplished their goal, nowhere is gone, but Bunker encourages Red Robin, keep the team together. If anything, this just proved that there are still going to be threats out there to metahuman teens, and they need a team like us in order to help them. So Red Robin agrees to keep the team and stuff. Later, Bunker discovers some wreckage of the other Teen Titan member, Danny the Street, who's the sort of living street that can teleport the team anywhere in the world. And Bunker pretty much finds some wreckage that looks like Danny the Street, and then eventually he tells Red Robin and the rest of the team, they go out and they gather a few pieces of wreckage that they find, and including a note that apparently Danny wrote because somehow he can communicate through the written world. Anyways, they found the note, and it pretty much said that he can get them off Mystery Island, but it's going to be his last ride because he only has strength enough for one last trip. And at first, Red Robin is against it because he feels like Danny already sacrificed enough, but Wonder Girl reminds him that this is Danny's decision and they need to take it. So, Danny the Street pretty much sacrifices himself in order to get the team back home. And that's how the issue ends. Well, not really a big sort of death scene. Again, this just felt like a 2-issue interlude, and I don't know, we really didn't get much to this whole Mystery Island thing. If anything, this is just a reincarnation of Dinosaur Island. I just didn't... This was just basically filler. It felt like filler. The last issue, though, was okay because it focused on Superboy and Wonder Girl's relationship. In this case, it was just pretty dull. That's all. And as far as the next issue goes, I hope that's better, especially now since they should be getting some new adversaries other than Nowhere, because, like Red Robin said, Nowhere's gone for the moment, so come on, give them a new foe. Wait, actually, I remember the teaser for next issue is supposed to be Wonder Girl's origin, so I look forward to that, to finally understand how Cassie Sandberg got her powers and how they work and stuff. I'd say pass on this issue. Wait till next issue if you're a Wonder Girl fan. Everyone else, though, I'd say we're gonna dial back. Teen Titans is gonna be pretty calm for the moment right now. Okay, Superman number 10. Basically, the villain on the cover, Anguish, attacks the family of Spencer Beck, who's this guy who's right now being falsely accused of being Superman. Because apparently some reporter notices similarity in how they look, both Superman and Beck, how they look, and he's pretty much put the word out that Superman is Spencer Beck. And this girl Anguish, she's fighting Superman from last issue. She decides to go after Beck's family, but Superman shows up, stops her, saves the family, and ultimately proves that he is not Spencer Beck. And meanwhile in Russia, the crew of the submarine that Superman rescued last issue is soon murdered by some sort of creature that they found at the bottom of the ocean, and that's pretty much what happens. Okay, everyone has said this, and I'm starting to agree. Superman, really dull. I mean, I would say this... It's not worth it. This issue really isn't worth it. Do yourselves a favor. Just don't get it, okay? Just don't. Save yourself the $3. Go to McDonald's, get yourself a cheeseburger with the money you were going to spend on this issue. Okay, moving on for something that I'd say is a little better. The Flash, number 10. Flash pretty much goes to Guatemala to find Patty Spivot, but instead he ends up fighting the Weather Wizard. The reason Patty is in Guatemala is because she's working on a cold case, and that cold case is the murder of Weather Wizard's brother that took place in Central City 2 years ago. Apparently, though, when pretty much Weather Wizard and Flash fight for most of the issue, Flash does find Patty, and when he does, he's pretty much trying to he feels like he needs to tell her right now that he's Barry Allen, but right before he does get to tell her that, Patty tells him that she's sorry that she blamed the Flash for Barry's death, and that really he's just a superhero who's trying to save people the best he can, but she needs to move on from Barry's death. And at that moment, Flash decides that, the best thing for Patty right now is just for Barry Allen to be dead, because she needs to move on. And he can't really share the burden of him being the Flash with her, because right now she's not well at the moment. Meanwhile, for Weather Wizard, though, Weather Wizard also finds out that the person who killed his brother was actually his brother's wife, and she did it because, well, in this new 52 world, apparently Weather Wizard is sort of an heir to a drug empire in Guatemala, and pretty much the sister, his brother's wife killed the brother because she felt like he was too weak to run the empire, and Weather Wizard was better suited for it. So she did it so that he would come back and run the empire, but Weather Wizard, angry at her, summons a bolt of lightning that strikes them both, but she dies, Weather Wizard lives, which shocks him, and at the end of the issue, Captain Cold's sister, Golden Glider, appears to sort of make Weather Wizard some sort of offer. I gotta say, though, if you like Weather Wizard, I think you're gonna like this issue, because this is definitely a new take on it. in the original story, Weather Wizard, Weather Wizard's brother built the wand that allowed him to control the weather, and shortly after, though, Wizard killed his brother, then started his whole crime spree thing. But this one is now the rewritten Weather Wizard is really different. I like it so far. I mean, also he doesn't rely on the wand. He doesn't really rely on the wand. I think he does it himself to summon the weather and stuff. And also, I did like how they handled Barry and Patty's relationship thing right now. Oh, I think it was very nice how Barry didn't decide to reveal his secret identity, because I think that would have been too much. Patty's just getting over blaming the Flash for Barry's death, and then suddenly he just says, "Hey, Patty, guess what? I'm actually Barry Allen. I've been alive this whole time." I think that would be too much of a shock for her. So, it's good for Barry that he doesn't want to burden her right now, not only with his life as a superhero, but also just to not freak her out like that and say, "Hey, I've been alive this whole time." I mean, that would have been too much for Patty, and it's good that Barry decided to wait, or hold off, I guess. My only main beef with this issue is that we don't get any explanation as to why Dr. Elias was leading an anti-Flash rally last issue. Because when Barry returned to Central City at the end of last issue, Dr. Elias, who was originally a supporter of Flash, is all of a sudden leading an anti-Flash mob. Just still no explanation about why, though, but maybe that'll be touched on next issue, I hope. Okay. Justice League number 10. Through flashbacks, we learn that Daniel Graves apparently gained his powers by making a deal with some sort of ancient deities. And also, the Justice League, while they're discussing how Graves has been learning information about each and every one of them, some information about the heroes is brought to light. Like, the other Leaguers learn that Superman is actually a reporter, that Barry has a girlfriend named Patty and stuff. Some of this is a shock to them. But for some, like Superman and Batman, they apparently have developed a friendship outside the League where they trust each other more than they trust anyone else in the League. That's a story I would really like to see from, whether that's like Justice League issue 0 or something. Or even in Action Comics with like the first meeting between Superman and Batman. I would like to see that, understand how the Superman-Batman friendship began in the New 52. Just saying that. Anyways, back to Justice League. After their little discussion, Graves breaks into the Justice League Watchtower by using Steve Trevor's access code. The League, it's not like he caught the League by surprise. The League was aware of it because Cyborg installed a silent alarm that would activate whenever Steve Trevor used his access code. So they knew someone was on the Watchtower, and they are a little shocked that it is Graves, though. Graves appears, and he apparently makes quick work of the League by using his powers, which I think somehow drain the life force out of them by using, what looks like he sort of drains their life force from them, and also he does it by sort of bringing up dead loved ones, because for Wonder Woman, she saw her mother, and Superman, right before he went down, he only said one word, which was "paw." So that obviously refers to Jonathan Kent, who is dead in this universe. I think somehow Graves' powers could be related to the dead or people who died. So, we get a little more revealed about Graves, though. Still not so sure how he lost his wife and kids or why he necessarily blames the Justice League for it, but it does seem like we are getting some answers now, and hopefully by next issue we'll get to know more about it. Now to talk about the co-feature, which is Shazam. Okay, so in the Shazam co-feature, it's late at night. Billy Batson's foster parents are sort of discussing Billy's actions with the bullies he faced last issue. While they're discussing this, Billy sneaks out of the house, and Freddie Freeman shortly follows Billy to the zoo, where apparently Billy visits this tiger he calls Tawny, and apparently Billy remembers the tiger from when he was a baby, because he says that the only people he can really remember for the first time are his parents and the tiger. And Freddy shows up and he talks to Billy a bit, how Billy's trying to find his birth parents, and also how it was great that Billy stood up for the foster kids against those two rich kids that last issue. And Billy says that he is kind of glad that he stood up to them, but he also wishes that he could get them back right now. And then Freddy says that I know where they live, and so Billy and Freddy get like these mischievous grins that are like, okay, we're gonna go do something at our house or something like that. And meanwhile in Egypt, though, Dr. Savannah, who last issue was exposed to some energy of the magical thunderbolt, he now has a lightning bolt shaped scar on his right eye, and his right eye is also sort of blue and glowy now. It allows him to read some ancient language on Black Adam's tomb, and that allows him to, and once he says the word Shazam, he releases Black Adam. So there we go. Now Black Adam is brought back, and his first words are, "Where is the wizard?" You should really try Oz. Okay, well, the Shazam co-feature, it looks like things are starting to step up for the villains, though. I mean, Dr. Savannah now knows about magic, has now started to bring back magic, I guess. Black Adam's back. Now all that remains is for Billy Batson to find the wizard. I hope next issue of Justice League, though, I hope we do get closer to Billy's meeting with the wizard very soon. Although I think the way the Zero issue works is that we might have to wait until Justice League Zero in order to see what's going to happen to Shazam. But it's okay, I can wait for Shazam, though. For Justice League, though, I really want to get to the bottom of the whole Daniel Graves thing. Hopefully get some answers to that and figure out what's going on with him. Okay, and final issue from DC, Aquaman number 10. I am loving this series. We learn more about one of Aquaman's former teammates from the others, the Operative. Right now, the Operative has broken into Black Manta's base so that he could try to figure out what Black Manta's plans are for the Atlantean artifacts that each of the others has. So, and also Dr. Shin reveals to Mera what the full story about what happened with Aquaman and Black Manta's dad was that after the funeral of Arthur's father, Arthur went off to sea filled with vengeance, trying to find Black Manta to kill him. And when he found Manta's boat at sea, he went on. There was only one guy aboard. Aquaman thought was Manta, so he killed him. Unfortunately, right when he killed Manta's father, Black Manta returned from deep sea diving, and that's what started the feud between them. Meanwhile, the fight between Black Manta and Aquaman continues from last issue. They're pretty much fighting each other until it gets to the point where Black Manta snags the artifact that's used by another one of Aquaman's others, known as Yarwa's artifact, which is this little globe thing that when Manta gets it, he's able to teleport out of there and teleport right to the location of Dr. Shin and Mera. And Manta looks at Shin like he's getting ready to kill him. So, and that's where the issue ends. Okay, a little more insight into what as to the feud of Aquaman and Black Manta. Still some more. We've got some people trying to, like the operative, trying to learn about what's Black Manta's master plan for all of this. But apparently it does involve Dr. Shin in some way. Aquaman is still going strong. This is probably one of the best new series that DC Comics is putting out there. I mean, I think it's very underestimated because people don't think a lot about Aquaman. I mean, you say Aquaman. I mean, if you bring up, like, you say, hey, you know who Aquaman is? They'll probably just say, yeah, he's that guy in the Justice League who, like, talks to fish or whatever. Yeah, well, get them to read this series and they will be proven wrong because Aquaman is way more than just talking about fish. No, he's a trident-wielding badass. But, yeah, Aquaman, great series. If you're still picking this up, keep doing so. If you're not, what's wrong with you? Please start reading this book. It's awesome. Okay, that's it for my comic books this week. Quick recap. Aquaman number 10, still awesome. Can't wait for next issue. Justice League number 10. We're getting a little more answers about Daniel Graves. Hopefully by next issue everything will be revealed and we'll understand why he hates the League and what exactly happened to his kids and why does he blame the League for their deaths. Flash number 10, new origin for the Weather Wizard. Some people, it's a little different, but I like it. And also, sort of a great moment for Barry when he doesn't really want to burden his girlfriend, so he holds off on telling her his secret identity. Superman number 10, pretty dull. Pass. Teen Titans number 10. Okay, I would say wait till next issue, start picking this up, because that's when we're going to get into Wonder Girl's issue. This one, all you need to know is that Danny the Street's dead. Amazing Spider-Man 688. Great start to a new story arc featuring the Lizard. Nice little reference to the Amazing Spider-Man movie by having Spider-Man fight the Lizard. Cannot wait for the rest of this story arc. Wolverine the X-Men number 12. This is definitely something for Rachel Gray fans. If you're not, the only other reason to get this is just because of Avengers vs. X-Men. If you're not a Rachel Gray fan and you're not reading Avengers vs. X-Men, I'd say pass. Star Trek The Next Generation, Doctor Who Assimilation 2, Issue 2. Very great. The crossover Doctor Who has officially met the crew of the Enterprise. Can't wait. And they've just discovered the Borg and the Cybermen Alliance. Cannot wait to see where this goes. Very awesome. Can't wait for the rest of this. Okay. That concludes my comic book review for the week. One other thing I want to say before I stop filming is that because of July 4th, I will not be doing a comic review next week. I'm sorry. I just it's going to be a vacation. I'm going to be going on vacation that time, so I'm not going to be able to film it. Sorry. Them's the breaks, but I'll be back the week after, powering through, getting ready to film the comic review, but until then, things might be a little quiet for a while after Spider-Man week concludes. So that's all I have to say. Spider-Man 1991 saying thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Take care.